You're watching Ellie from Elementary Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK. And today I'm going to bring you quite a simple little project. And I'm going to be using a host stamp set, which means that you can earn this by hosting a Stampin' Up event. So that means you can either hold a demonstration in your home or come along and show your guests the products and they can make a card. And then any orders that you get from the party go towards you saving money on products yourself. The other stamp set I'm using is called Art Gallery, and this one's available in the annual Stampin' Up catalogue. So I'm just going to do, as I say, something quite simple today. So let's get started. So I'm using very vanilla cardstock, and this is just a scrap piece of card that I'm going to use to stamp my image on. So the image I'm choosing is this one here, and it's the flowers with the leaves all in one. And I'm using Poppy Parade, and this is what we call a sponge dauber. It fits on the end of your finger, and it's useful if you don't want to stamp the whole stamp in the same colour. So I'm using Poppy Parade for the petals. So I'm just stamping over those areas where the petals are raised. And at this stage you can choose to do lighter or darker accents. And I usually go darker around the outsides. Now I'm taking just Jade with another finger dauber and going over the leaves. Now I do tend to have quite a lot of these sponge daubers, but you can wash them, so you can use the same one, just wash it in between. But obviously when you're stamping like this, it's handy to have a few in different colours. So just placing that on my cardstock, just not pressing hard, but just keeping a little bit of pressure there for a few seconds to give the ink a time to transfer. So then you see I've got my shading. It's slightly darker on the outsides than it is towards the middle of the petals. So I wanted to put something else on my card before I add my florals. So taking my matte, which is Valley Vanilla as well, and the brick image from the Natural Textures. And I'm going to be using the crumb cake. So just going to load up my stamp with the ink, and I'm going to stamp this image twice to fit on the left hand side of my card. So I'm starting off towards the top, and I don't want to get my head in the camera, so I didn't go right to the top. So I didn't get my head over it, and I went a bit far up from the top. So if I were to make this card again, I would look over the top and come down slightly, and then I'm stamping again, being careful not to leave a gap between the two images so that it looks like a continuous piece of wall. So then I wanted to add this image, but I wanted to cut it out. I want it to be a little bit three-dimensional. Now I've chosen just to what they call fussy cut this with a pair of scissors. There are some dies available that go with this stamp set, and they're called Floral Gallery. And that's a range of dies that cut out various elements in the stamp set. And I believe there are some extra ones that also cut out other images as well. I didn't invest in those, but I'm quite happy to use scissors just to cut around this image. And when you're doing this, you just leave a narrow border all around the outside of the image. And this helps to sort of make the image pop. If you cut it right on the lines, I don't know how to put it into words, but you kind of lose the definition, I think is the word. So I'm quite happy to do this. It doesn't really take very long. And I'm just going round the finer bits there. Now obviously you can't cut really closely up to those lines of the stem, otherwise you'd be in danger of the actual sprig actually being cut right off. So you do need to be a bit careful there. So that's that all cut out. And then I want to just shape it a little bit to make it less flat so it looks more like a plant. So I'm using my bone folder there just to sort of dome the middle. Now I'm taking my dimensionals and I'm going to add several to the back of this cut out image. So just popping those on in several places there. And then I go and find my small ones just to go on the back of the leaf there because it's slightly narrower. Okay, so with these it takes a little minute to get the backs off. They're a little bit fiddly, but I find with my tweezers, just stab them in the middle and pull the backing off, it does come. Okay, or you can use your fingernails if they behave well. So then I'm just going to pop this image onto my card, and I wanted it not completely over the brick wall but not completely on the plain side, so I'm going sort of just as if it's growing out of some earth at the bottom of the wall, if you like. Then I'm taking my Just Jade again, and I'm bringing in the art gallery stamp set again to show you that I'm going to use two sentiments, I'm thinking of you and good luck. And I've mounted them onto my block together, and I've just stamped onto a scrap piece of paper to get the alignment correctly, and it was a little bit off at the bottom. The good luck wasn't quite straight, so I just straightened it up, and then when it was perfectly straight I knew it would be right for my project. So I'm looking at it and thinking it needs something. It's a little bit stark, so I decided to bring a bit more Poppy Parade in. So what I've done is I've taken one of my blending brushes and I've taken up some of the ink onto the brush. Then you just take a bit off to start with because it's a bit harsh, and then I'm just bringing it on to the edges of the card, and I'm just going very lightly because it's quite a strong colour, and just touching around the edges. When you do this, do make sure your fingers are clean where you're holding the card, and just finishing that off now around the side, and it definitely adds to that card, takes the starkness off it and draws your eyes to the centre. My card base is crumb cake, and I'm choosing, I think they call this a book fold, but I could be wrong. So my card is 11.5 by 4 1/8, and I've scored it in the middle at 5 3/4. And then I'm just using some of our Tombow multi-purpose medium to put onto the back of my mat, which I'm then going to adhere to the front of the card. So using this medium means that you've got time to apply it to the card, and if necessary you've got some wiggle room, so you can slide it a little bit to make sure that that 1/8 inch border is equal all the way around. And you can just see I'm just moving my thumbs there to make sure that it's all squared up. So that's my card today, and just to remind you, I used Art Gallery and the host set, which is Natural Textures. I'm going to add a link below to my online shop if you're watching YouTube, and if you're watching this on Facebook, you'll see a link to my shop at the top of my page. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again shortly. Please press the like buttons, the follow buttons for me. Thanks very much.